All right, it was another action-packed week of college wrestling. Going to get into all the happenings on the mat and off. And of course, we're going to start with the All-Star Classic. Amazing event at Penn State. And the story of the All-Star, of course, was the main event. Carter Starachi taking on and taking out Parker Hawkeyes. And in a match that, as you look at the score, see 4-1 overtime, I think it was close. And it was close, but there are some things that, if you're a UNI or Parker Hawkeyes fan, you wonder about the next time. Is this going to be a tougher matchup against Carter Starachi? Because not only did Carter win, what is most, I think, probably concerning on the Parker Hawkeyes front is how Carter was able to control Parker, move him around the mat, control center, and ultimately, in regulation though, Parker got in on a really deep double leg, almost finished, or seemed like he was gonna, a finish was imminent, and Carter was able to get his left foot back and get his feet on the mat and prevent that score. And similarly, Carter had a nice single leg in regulation that Hawkeyes was able to defend. And then it was a single leg in overtime for Carter Starachi, and he was able to get it done. The other matchups, starting at 25, Jory Volk had his most convincing win yet over Tanner Jordan. Those two typically have very close matches. 2 takedowns for Jory Volk, who's now ranked number 2 in America. He looked great. 33. The biggest thing for me, Nasir Bailey choosing neutral in the third period, down 1-0, riding time not a factor. He goes neutral, doesn't score, loses 1-0 to Bird. Nice win for Bird, who, if you don't believe it now, you should believe he can absolutely be a finalist and is a title contender this year at 133 pounds. And then 141, Jesse Mendez used a buzzer-beating takedown to take out Bo Bartlett. 4-1 win there. 49, Shane Van Ness looked amazing. I mean, he dominated a very, very good Ty Waters. I think it's a little bit matchup, though. I mean, Shane looked great. Ty did not. And Ty was out of position a little bit and was, and he can wrestle that way, gives up his legs, and he can counter score. But not against Shane Van Ness. He'll have to change course next time around. But all in all, for Shane's first match back after an injury, a really strong performance. At 57, Peyton Keller falls to Tyler Kasak. Kasak got an early takedown and a strong ride, and that was enough for the 4-3 win. Keller was able to get 2 escapes in riding time to lose 4-3 to Kasak. So tough match for Tyler and for Penn State. Alex Facundo staking his claim for 157. Tyler's going to battle for it. So definitely a situation to follow with Penn State, as I think they're going to send those two to the Black Knight as the next step in kind of determining who their starter is going to be at 157. 65 was the match of the night. Hall with the pin over Hunter Garvin. Definitely go back and watch that one. And 74, Levi Haynes looked amazing. 7-0 win over a very, very tough Cade DeVos. 197, it was pretty much a scoreless affair for the most part. Neither guy could get anything going, but it was Stephen Little taking out Bronigal at 197. And then a heavyweight, kind of a surprise, Tega Dolly taking out Nick Feldman of Ohio State. He had 2 takedowns, great offense, great defense, and a tough ride. Feldman's going to have to figure some things out against someone like Tega Dolly. That was definitely an eye-opening thing for me. Okay, staying at heavyweight. Big news on the heavyweight front. Gable Stevenson's back. He's wrestling for Minnesota this year, much to the chagrin of many heavyweight wrestlers, but that's the reality. But the most important thing we've learned over the last week, not just that he's coming back, he has his eyes on the Olympics 2028. He mentioned that is something he wants to do. So it does appear there's a chance we see Gable continue to wrestle in freestyle beyond this year. So it won't just be collegiate. Hopefully we see Gable attempt to make world and Olympic teams in the future. That would be amazing. Also in heavyweight news, Owen Treffin of NC State, guy was ranked 10th in the country. He's transferring to Lehigh. Lehigh's Nathan Taylor, who is a stud, is out for the year with injury. Treffin able to transfer because he's now behind Isaac Trumbull at NC State. Trumbull went up from 197 to 285, and Treffin's had a great start to his year. He's had a couple ranked wins, beat some good guys. He's an All-American contender, no doubt, for Lehigh now. And then Trumbull beats Slavakuski this week. So Slavakuski was 4, I think Trumbull was 7. So slight upset on paper. So nice win for Trumbull there as NC State loses a heavyweight, but they're still going to be really tough. This is Treffin's final year, and it'll allow Nathan Taylor to take a medical redshirt and come back next year, hopefully healthy as ever. Oklahoma State had a big weekend. wrestling at Utah Valley and Oregon State, where both those teams brought it, not only on the mat, but amazing atmospheres, record crowd at Utah Valley for Coach Adam Hall, who's already doing a great job. But Oklahoma State won big in both, but they made the Cam Amin Terrell Bearclaw match last in the Utah Valley duel, and Bearclaw got it done. That's his second top 10 win of the year. He beat Hunter Garvin earlier this year, and now he's beaten Cam Amin in a weird tiebreaker match. Cam had the only takedown of the match. Bearclaw rode him out in the second period and ultimately was able to win in tiebreakers, even though there was a locked hands call. And I don't know how they sorted out the tiebreakers riding time. I thought there might have been a mistake there, but either way, it doesn't matter. Terrell Bearclaw, the winner at 165, and continuing to stake his claim as, you got to say, a potential finalist maybe at 165. This is a weight that has Mitchell Messenbrink and then everyone else, and that includes Terrell Bearclaw. And then for Oklahoma State at Oregon State, situation monitor 125. Troy Spratley is sort of a weird thing, but against Utah Valley's Bridger Ricks and also against Renneria of Oregon State, Spratley gave up 2 penalty points in both, locking hands and illegal hold. So something that Spratley's going to have to get under control in a very tight 125-pound weight class. But he's getting his hand raised. He's winning. Also for Oklahoma State, you've got Cale Hughes. We'll get to Cale Peterson later. Cale Hughes at 133 for Oklahoma State. That's a big cut for him, but he looks really good, as does Tegan Jamieson at 141. Both went 2-0 on the weekend, looked strong, as did Carter Young at 149. So the pieces falling into place for that Oklahoma State lineup. But the biggest win for Oklahoma State on the weekend was Luke Serber taking out Trey Munoz. And Serber, coming into this year, was a guy who had the big win over Rocky Elam, but he wasn't able to follow it up with other big wins, right? He was a good guy, qualifier level guy. To me, this was a different kind of win for Luke. I mean, he used what his bread and butter is, which is his counter scrambling. And Trey Munoz took a shot, beautiful scramble by Serber, he got the win. But I think overall he's looking more offensive. His work from the top position is also notable. I think Serber is maybe more of an All-American contender than we would have expected coming into this year. So definitely a guy to keep your eye on moving forward is Luke Serber of Oklahoma State, who was a heavyweight a couple years ago, down at 197. He's formidable and only getting better, it appears. Going to the other OSU, Ohio State University, the big story, the happy news, Sammy Sasso back on the mat, a winner against Chattanooga, and hope to continue to watch Sammy progress and improve. And as he gets healthier after the gunshot wound a year and a half ago, he's looking really good. I know he could go down to 157, but I think for the Ohio State lineup, it makes more sense for him to go 65. Also news for the Ohio State lineup, Rocco Welsh, the NCAA finalist last year at 174. He's going to redshirt this year up at 184. He's not going to wrestle this year. Of course, something could happen like last year where Carson Hartzler was out for the year with injury, so they used Rocco. Unless something like that happened with Ryder Rogotsky or Carson Hartzler again, I expect to see Rocco Welsh to redshirt, which that's a big blow to Ohio State. They're losing a bona fide national finalist contender, a returning national finalist out of the lineup. That's going to hurt them overall. There's no replacing Rocco Welsh, really. And also at 133, Nick Bouzakis looks like he's going to be the guy for Ohio State. He had lost to Ben DeVino, but DeVino likely going to redshirt this year for the Buckeyes. Still a very, very tough team out of Columbus, no question about that. Iowa State, of course, it's a big week, and I'll get into that later on in another video talking about Iowa State. And for Iowa State, big blow at 141. Casey Swiderski out for the year with an injury. Super unfortunate. Sounds like it was a knee injury for Casey. Hope he heals up and comes back. I don't think the door is closed for Anthony Echemendia to go down to 141. Situation to monitor. We'll see how he looks against Kyle Parko. But there could be a scenario where they say, hey, Anthony says, hey, maybe my best weight is 141. Something to follow there. Okay, staying with the Iowa theme. The Hawks wrestled against Bellarmine. Obviously, they were huge favorites there, and they won 10 matches to 0. But another great atmosphere. Coach Ned Shuck of Bellarmine doing a fantastic job in that brand new program in Kentucky. But things to note, Cale Peterson, I got it right this time, at 125. He is down, and it's a cut for him as well, and he made it. He looked good. Activity level was high. but he's going to get a bigger test this week, likely against Terrakina. But it looks like he could be the guy for Iowa. Also, a notable thing, Gabe Arnold, a 5-3 win, a really close victory. He was in control, but to see a win that close for Gabe, something to monitor. Probably not a big deal, but something to keep an eye out for heading into Iowa State, where he's going to be in a match where they're probably going to need him to win. He's going to be going against Bachman, who's really tough. Angelo Ferrari made his Hawkeye debut at the Grandview Open. He won, looked dominant, looked well-sized at 184. Angelo's going to be the real deal, likely on the shelf for this season, but still a lot of reasons to be excited about Angelo Ferrari. Couple odds and ends and I'll be done. Virginia Tech took out Missouri in the best duel of the weekend, the two most highly ranked teams. Virginia Tech did take a loss, an upset loss at 184, with Colton Hawks beating TJ Stewart 8-2. TJ didn't look quite right. There were some positions that looked like should be TJ's, and Hawks wound up scoring. Situation to monitor there with TJ as he got on the podium last year, but now finding that consistency will be key for TJ. But Aiden Sinclair wrestled from Missouri. He fell to Andy Smith in a pretty wild match. It was all Andy Smith, and then Sinclair made a bid late for a comeback, but ultimately fell. What else happened? Ridge Lovett beat Lachlan McNeil of UNC 4-0, and Sagaris of LIU took out Dean Peterson, who was ranked 7th of Rutgers. Sagaris was previously unranked. That was the biggest upset of the day. Hope you guys are watching a lot of wrestling every weekend. There's so many great ways to watch, whether it's on ESPN, on Flow. Of course, we've got a lot coming up. We're going to have the Black Knight this week. We're going to have the Keystone Classic. BTN Plus has a lot of great events going on. That's how you're going to be able to watch Iowa State. Great time to be a wrestling fan. What are you excited about from last week in college wrestling?